For my final project, I decided to do the topic of problems with alcohol and drugs. State of the topic. So in this presentation, I'm going to be discussing alcohol abuse and its correlation to mental health disorders, deaths caused by drug overdose, and just sort of looking at how that number has been rising in the United States the past few years. And then looking at alcoholism on the roads, just examining drunk driving and how it's becoming an epidemic in the United States. So the first article that I looked at was from the NIAAA, and it was discussing how alcohol abuse is correlated to mental health disorders. So out of this article, just sort of summarizing it, I found out that mental disorders co-occur with alcohol use disorder, and these include anxiety disorders, mood disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, other substance abuse disorders, sleep disorders, and psychotic disorders. So this might mean that an individual has these specific mental disorders previous to their alcoholism, and it serves as a risk factor, or for many others, they might be dealing with alcoholism and then it can lead to this. The second article that I looked at was from CNN, and this was discussing how deaths caused by drug overdose are rising in the United States. Over 111,000 overdose deaths have occurred in a 12-month period in the United States, and these deaths have spiked 30% between 2019 and 2020. A big reason why is due to the uptick in specific synthetic opioids and fentanyl drugs, which, as we can see, they're involved in around 70% of the overdose deaths. So with the increase of these drugs available, we can see a correlation to the overdose deaths within the United States. There was also another spike by 15% between 2020 and 2021. So this continues to increase. Then I looked at an article from Forbes, and this was how drunk driving is an epidemic. So there has been a 14% increase in drunk driving accidents, deaths related to these from 2020 to 2021. 31% of car crash deaths involve drunk drivers. And ages 21 to 24, this age group, as well as 25 to 34, have the largest number of drunk drivers involved in fatal car accidents, amounting to 27%. And 42.2% of drivers have witnessed someone drive after they have had more than one alcoholic drink. So I did a lot of research looking at alcohol-related statistics. I found a lot of interesting statistics and facts, but these were some of the ones I just wanted to hone in on. I sort of found that they were pretty interesting and not necessarily things that I had considered before. And this is all according to the 2022 National Survey on Drug Use and Health. So 29.5 million people ages 12 and older has lived within the past year with alcohol, drinking alcohol. And so also according to the 2022 NSDUH, 221.3 million people ages 12 and older have reported that they drank alcohol at some point in their lifetime. Just sort of the age group of 12 and older really surprised me because I guess I'm not necessarily that in tune or like have heard of such a young individual drinking alcohol. I think I was also kind of just curious how these numbers might relate to other countries, as obviously the United States does have stricter alcohol and drinking laws than other nations. So I would be curious to know what the overlap is there. But I did find, I feel like 221 million is quite a few people. Just lastly, 5.7 million youth ages 12 to 17, which was 22.3% in this age group, reported that they drank alcohol at some point in their lifetime. And sort of similarly, I was kind of surprised by that young age demographic. Obviously, high school age might become a little bit more popular, but not really something I had considered previously. Next up, I also examined a lot of different drug-related statistics. There was certainly a lot, and I feel like there's sort of been an uptick and a trend in terms of just the increases of usage of drugs as a whole within the past few years. But according to the National Center for Drug Abuse statistics, these were just a few that really stuck out to me. So half of people 12 and older have used illicit drugs at least once. This was just a pretty alarming statistic. Also sort of tying back to the last slide, I feel like the demographic 12 and older is a very wide range, and it's not really something I would have considered previously with that young of an age, like the start. Also, drug overdose deaths in the United States since 2000 are nearing 1 million. I really thought I should include this just due to how alarming it is and how a lot of this could be sort of mitigated with early intervention and community engagement practices to just mitigate, you know, the whole epidemic as a whole and increase accessibility to Narcan and other related drugs. And then lastly, 59.27 million or 21.4% of people 12 and older have used illegal drugs or misused prescription drugs within the last year. This also really stuck out to me due to the ongoing conversations about prescription drugs and the over sort of prescribing of certain painkillers from doctors, especially for young adults and teenagers following certain surgeries and such. So this was pretty alarming. And so, yeah. So for my research proposal, there was certainly a lot of discussion about underage drinking within the statistics and news stories. So I was looking to better examine the impact of lack of underage drinking prior to college and how that might impact drinking within college. So the study aims at better understanding the likelihood of binge drinking in college following the lack of underage consumption prior to college. So by conducting such a study, findings could reveal correlations between drinking prior to college and current consumption level, and also answer the question, are individuals more likely to drink less or more in college if they have previous experience drinking? So that $100,000 that is allocated could be used for mass distribution of a survey, incentives to increase the number of survey submissions, and salary for data analysts and other employees that might allow the operations of the survey and analysis to be completed. So specifically, we would be handing the survey out to college students in the United States. And like I said, it's just going to be a survey asking some pretty basic questions about did you drink prior to college? How much do you drink now? How much did you drink prior to college? And how many drinks do you consume each week? How many at a time? And sort of examine that number compared to the number of drinks that is considered a binge level of drinking for that specific individual. So lastly, just looking forward, there's obviously a variety of ways in which a future student could be able to expand on this research project and gather a stronger perspective and knowledge regarding the impacts of alcohol and drug use within the United States. So in order to most effectively gain this understanding and elaborate on the current project, a student might read 3 articles on specific risk factors to understand the origin of drug and alcohol use. And they could create a survey on alcohol and drug use and survey individuals within their communities. And then lastly, choose a country of your choice and create a Venn diagram comparing this country and the US in terms of related laws, usage trends, and other factors. By doing this would allow the student to get a better perspective on the impacts of alcohol and drug use within the United States, but also within the communities which they exist in.